Assalamu alaikum, dear brothers and sisters. Have you ever felt like you're stuck in a storm, but deep down a small voice whispers that something big is about to happen? As if every difficulty, every rejection, and every moment of struggle were not random, but leading you towards something greater? You're not imagining things. Sometimes, just before a major breakthrough, life becomes more challenging. Allah often tests His servants in the most intense ways before granting them extraordinary blessings. The struggles you are facing today may not be punishments. They may be signs that you are on the very edge of something life-changing. Allah removes distractions. He refines your faith. He strengthens your soul, so that when the blessing arrives, your heart is ready to carry it. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, endured years of hardship, ridicule, and boycotts before the ultimate victory of Islam. Prophet Yusuf, peace be upon him, was betrayed, enslaved, and imprisoned before being elevated to a position of honor and power. These are not just ancient stories. They are divine lessons, showing us how Allah works in the lives of those He loves. Before we dive deeper into this powerful reminder, please take a moment to like this video. It gives us strength to continue sharing beneficial content. And if you haven't already, subscribe to Spiritual Deen and activate the notification bell so you never miss an opportunity to nourish your soul with reminders rooted in the Islamic faith. Thank you, and may Allah bless you abundantly. Now let's begin. Allah reminds us in the Quran, indeed with hardship comes ease. Surah Ash-Shar 94:6. This is not just a statement, it is a promise. If you are walking through a difficult season, know this. Your breakthrough may be closer than you think. Stay with me until the very end, because the final sign I will share could completely transform the way you see your current struggles. Sign 1. Trials intensify before a breakthrough. Have you ever noticed that just before something amazing happens in your life, everything seems to fall apart? It feels as though the pressure increases, the obstacles multiply, and the weight of trials becomes almost unbearable. You may start to wonder, has Allah abandoned me? But what if, instead, these hardships are a divine signal? What if they are not the end, but the very beginning of your next chapter? Throughout history, whenever Allah granted victory to His chosen ones, He first tested them through immense hardships. It wasn't to punish them, it was to purify them, to elevate them, to prepare them for something greater than they could imagine. The story of Yusuf, alayhi salam. From betrayal to power. One of the clearest examples of this is the story of Prophet Yusuf, peace be upon him. As a young boy, he was shown a vision, a dream where the sun, the moon, and 11 stars prostrated before him. It was a glimpse of the greatness Allah had destined for him. But what happened immediately after? Instead of honor, he faced betrayal at the hands of his own brothers. Instead of safety, he was thrown into a dark well. Instead of freedom, he was sold into slavery. Just when it seemed like life was improving, he was wrongfully accused and imprisoned. Yet each moment of pain was not a detour. It was the exact path Allah had written for him to fulfill His purpose. And when the time was right, Allah elevated Yusuf, peace be upon him, to a position of immense power, not just for his own sake, but to save entire nations. His hardship was the gateway to his greatest honor. He was falsely accused, imprisoned, and forgotten. Imagine how Yusuf, peace be upon him, must have felt, knowing Allah had shown him a vision of greatness, yet facing nothing but suffering for years. Hardship after hardship, trial after trial. But what was happening behind the scenes? Allah was positioning him exactly where he needed to be. The betrayal led him to Egypt. The false accusations placed him in prison, where he met someone who would later connect him to the king. And then, in a single moment, everything changed. Yusuf, peace be upon him, was taken from prison, elevated to a position of immense power, becoming a minister and saving an entire nation from famine. This story is not just about Yusuf, it is about you. Your trials, your struggles, your pain, they are all part of your preparation. Right now, you might be facing a financial crisis, struggling in your career, or dealing with heartbreak. Perhaps you feel stuck, as if every door is closing in front of you. But what if these are the very tests that will lead to your breakthrough? Many people give up at this stage. They lose faith because they cannot see the bigger picture. But Allah sees what you cannot. He knows what lies ahead. The pain, the rejection, and the setbacks are not random. They are part of the process. Allah asks in the Quran, "Do people think that they will be left alone because they say, 'We believe,' and will not be tested?" Surah Al-Ankabut 29:2. A true believer is not defined by ease, but by endurance. Allah does not test those He does not love. If you are facing hardships right now, it may be because you are about to receive something greater than you ever expected. Hold on, your story is not over yet. Sign 1. Trials intensify before a breakthrough. Have you ever felt like life is becoming increasingly difficult just when you are praying for a breakthrough? As if the harder you try, the more obstacles arise? You are not alone. In fact, this might be the clearest sign that Allah is preparing you for something far greater than you can imagine. It is a divine pattern. Before elevation, there is hardship. Before relief, there is struggle. Before Yusuf, peace be upon him, was honored, he was tested. And before you receive your blessing, you too will be tested. The story of Yusuf, alayhi salam. A journey through hardship. Yusuf, peace be upon him, had a dream as a child, a vision of greatness. But instead of walking directly into success, he walked into betrayal. His own brothers, consumed by jealousy, threw him into a well, leaving him for dead. Yet that betrayal did not end his story. It only set the stage for what was to come. Sold into slavery, he found himself in Egypt. Just as he was beginning to rebuild his life, another test awaited him. He was falsely accused and thrown into prison, abandoned and forgotten. Imagine his pain. Imagine his confusion. He knew he was innocent, yet everything seemed to be against him. But behind it all, Allah had a plan. Every hardship was leading him toward his destiny. While in prison, he interpreted the dreams of fellow prisoners. One of them, upon being released, would later remember Yusuf's gift and connect him to the king. And just like that, Allah's plan was set into motion. In one single moment, Yusuf, peace be upon him, went from a prisoner to a minister, from forgotten to honored, from hardship to triumph. His story teaches us a powerful lesson. Your darkest moments might be the moments just before your greatest breakthrough. Your trials are not in vain. Right now, you may be going through your own version of Yusuf's prison. Maybe you've lost a job and no opportunity seems to open. Perhaps you're facing rejection after rejection, or you're struggling in relationships, feeling like no one understands you. It might feel like you're stuck in an endless cycle of hardship. But what if this is your preparation? What if Allah is shaping you, refining your character, and testing your patience before granting you something even better than what you asked for? Allah reminds us in the Quran, "Do people think that they will be left alone because they say we believe and will not be tested?" Surah Al-Ankabut 29:2. The reality is, the closer you are to a breakthrough, the more intense the test becomes. It is not a sign of Allah's rejection, it is a sign of His selection. He is molding you into the person who can carry the blessings He is about to give you. So, do not lose hope. Hold on. Your hardship is not the end. It is the beginning of something greater. Sign 2. Isolation and loneliness. There comes a time in life when people you once relied on begin to distance themselves. Friends grow cold, family members misunderstand you, and suddenly you feel alone. It's painful, confusing, and it makes you question, why is this happening to me? But what if this isolation is not a punishment, but a preparation? Before Allah grants a breakthrough, He often removes distractions. He takes away the people who are not meant to walk with you into the next stage of your journey. Sometimes the relationships we cherish are actually holding us back, preventing us from reaching the place where Allah wants to elevate us. The prophetic example, rejection before victory. Even the greatest of men, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, experienced this form of isolation. Before the conquest of Makkah, before Islam flourished, he was rejected by his own people. His tribe turned against him. Those he once trusted betrayed him. The ones closest to him mocked and ridiculed him. At one point, he was forced to retreat to the cave of Hira, seeking solitude and deep reflection. Later, he and his followers were completely cut off from society, exiled in the valley of Abu Talib, facing hunger and hardship. The people who once praised him now wanted him gone. But what was Allah doing? He was preparing him for something far greater. The rejection of Makkah led to the opportunity of Medina. The isolation forced his followers to become stronger in faith. The pain of separation was not the end of his mission. It was the beginning of Islam's victory. Your isolation might be a sign. Perhaps you've recently lost friends. Maybe you've been distanced from those who once supported you. It feels painful, but ask yourself this. Could it be that Allah is removing the distractions? Could this isolation be preparing you for a breakthrough far beyond what you can see right now? Maybe family members no longer understand you. You feel alone in your struggles, and it seems like no one truly sees the pain you're going through. It hurts, but what if Allah is protecting you from relationships that no longer serve your purpose? Think about it. How many times have you prayed for guidance, asking Allah to remove what is harmful in your life? Yet when He takes people away, we feel abandoned. But what if those friendships were secretly draining you? What if the person you lost was not meant to walk with you into your future? Allah tells us in the Quran, and it may be that you dislike a thing which is good for you. Surah Al-Baqarah 2:2-16. You may not understand why certain people left. You may not see the full picture yet, but trust this. When Allah isolates you, it's because He is preparing you for something greater. Do not fear the loneliness. Embrace the transformation. Your breakthrough is near. Sign 3. A new opportunity arises after failure. You've worked hard for something. You gave it everything. Your time, your energy, your prayers, and yet it slipped through your fingers. The job you wanted, the relationship you cherished, the opportunity you believed was meant for you, all gone. In that moment, the pain is real. The confusion is overwhelming. You start questioning, why did this happen? Did I do something wrong? But what if this wasn't a setback? What if it was a redirection? Sometimes Allah closes a door because what's behind it is not meant for you. And more importantly, because He is about to open a door that is far greater than what you had planned for yourself. A story of failure turned into success. Imagine a man who dedicated years to his job, giving his best every single day. He built his life around it, believing it was his path to security and stability. Then, without warning, he is fired, rejected, cast aside as if his efforts meant nothing. At first, he feels lost. He struggles to understand why this happened. But with time, he starts seeing something strange. New opportunities start appearing. Maybe an old connection reaches out with a better offer. Maybe he finally has the time to start the business he always dreamed of. Or maybe the so-called failure was the only way for him to step into something even greater. This is the reality for many people. What seems like a disaster is often a hidden blessing. The relationship that ended was clearing space for the right person. The financial loss was pushing you toward a better opportunity. The rejection was redirecting you to something far beyond what you had imagined. Spiritual wisdom, trusting Allah's plan. As human beings, we see only a small part of the picture. We focus on the immediate loss, the pain of the closed door. But Allah sees everything. He knows that what you lost was never meant to stay. That's why we must develop trust, true tawakkul, believing that His plan is always greater than what we could have ever imagined for ourselves. If something left your life, it was never written for you. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, taught us this powerful truth. What has reached you was never meant to miss you, and what has missed you was never meant to reach you. This means that nothing happens by accident. Every closed door, every rejection, every heartbreak, it is all part of Allah's divine plan for you. Your next opportunity is coming. So if you are in a season of loss, do not despair. Something better is on the way. What you thought was an ending might actually be a new beginning. Look beyond the pain. Trust that what left your life was never meant for you, and keep your heart open because your breakthrough is closer than you think. Sign 4. Inexplicable inner peace. Life may still be difficult. You may still be facing struggles, uncertainty, and trials, but something has changed deep inside. There is a calmness that you can't explain. You're no longer overwhelmed by fear. You're no longer drowning in doubt. Instead, there's a quiet assurance in your heart, an unshakable peace. This feeling is not ordinary. It's not something that can be explained through logic alone. It is a gift from Allah, a sign that He is preparing you for something greater. The power of Tawakkul, trusting Allah completely. This inner peace is not just a random feeling. It is the result of true Tawakkul, trusting Allah completely. When you finally surrender your worries to Allah, trusting that His plan is better than yours, your heart stops fighting the anxiety that once controlled you. You may not have all the answers, but you know that Allah is in control. The Quran reminds us, indeed the believers are those who, when Allah is mentioned, their hearts become fearful, and when His verses are recited to them, it increases them in faith, and upon their Lord they rely. Surah Anfal 8:2. When you truly rely on Allah, the weight of the world doesn't feel as heavy. You stop panicking about things that are out of your control. You understand that every challenge has a purpose, and that every delay is a setup for something greater. The story of Bilal, R.A., peace, even in pain. One of the most powerful examples of inner peace in the face of suffering is the story of Bilal ibn Rabah, R.A. Bilal was a slave in Makkah when he embraced Islam. His master, furious at his conversion, inflicted extreme torture upon him. He was dragged through the scorching desert, beaten mercilessly, and had a massive rock placed on his chest under the burning sun. His oppressors tried to force him to renounce his faith, yet despite the unbearable pain, Bilal did not scream. He did not beg for mercy. Instead, he kept repeating, Ahad, Ahad. Allah is one. His inner peace, despite the suffering, was a testament to his unwavering faith and trust in Allah's plan. Bilal's story reminds us that peace doesn't come from the absence of pain, but from the presence of faith and trust in Allah. Don't stop now. Your breakthrough is near. If this post has inspired you, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe for more motivational, inspirational, and spiritual content. May the peace and blessings of Allah be upon you.